Good evening and welcome to the Formula Racing League. The penultimate round of this F2 Championship takes us to Emilia at Emilia Romagna in Italy, where the championship could be decided here. Don Argent going into the round with a 42-point lead over his closest rival, Mini Ramsel. We've got one-shot qualifying coming up, 4 championship points up for grabs in this one. The fastest will get that. And we're just waiting for the drivers to select their choice of tyres to do their single lap on. They'll all set their times at exactly the same time as each other. And then we'll go into a 19-lap feature race that includes a mandatory pit stop and then a 13-lap sprint race to wrap up tonight's action. Well, along with Don Argent and Mini Ramsel, the likes of Winfield and Green Pies are in there, although Green Pies is not around tonight. So he's effectively out of the championship hunt, to be quite honest with you. And Mini Ramsel has opted to retire from this one-shot qualifying, so he's not going to get a chance to actually go for pole position. But here's Don Argent, who missed last week at Paul Ricard, for whatever reason. And we can go on board for a lap with him now. Very nicely done through Tamburello there on the exit. As he brakes down to 5th for the first part of the Villeneuve chicane and then down to 4th for the second part. And we're coming towards the Tosa hairpin, 3rd gear through here. And then you're on the power, rev, and then shift up to 4th and now 5th. Up the hill. And then he chooses to go into 6th gear before he drops down 2 gears to 4th for Puatella. And then you want to be on the outside for the entry to Acrominerali. He kicked a kick of oversteer there as he caught the curve, and that will cost him some time. He brakes for the very anti-Alta chicane. Wasn't the best line through there, to be quite honest with you. He kept it pointing the right way. And now he's coming towards the last section of the circuit, Ravazza. 3rd gear through this point in the circuit. The rear stepping out slightly as he entered the last section of Ravazza over the line, and that is pole position with a 125.0. Big Boss Bells in P2 in the ART. So here's your grid then for the feature race with Don Argent collecting 4 championship points. That's crucial for the championship as well. Big Buzz Bells will line up on the front row next to him, followed by Melios in 3rd. Stephen 4th, head of Winfield and Podge with Liverpool Fan and the Warrior next behind on the 4th row. Statistics King and William rounding out the top 10. Vintage and Dust rounding out row 6. Meeman Moody and Wild Dog are next behind, with Jay Hartnell and Swanshanks on row 8. Lucifer and Mini Ramsel are on row 9. With Rosie rounding out the grid for the race. So the cars are ready to go. We're just waiting for the drivers to sort out their tyre strategies. The fuel loads are set to a default setting. So no, the drivers won't tweak anything to do with that. It's just their race setups. And the tyre choices to start the race on will run through the grid. We'll run through the grid. We'll run through who is starting on what compound. And then this 19-lap feature race will get underway. It's an 18-lap feature race, my apologies, not a 19-lap one. So I've looked to see who is on whatever tyres. So Stephen and Podge on the softs, everyone else are on the mediums. The pit window opens on lap 3. That's the point where the drivers can make their mandatory pit stops. If they pit on lap 1 or 2, that will not count as their mandatory pit stops, and you cannot take your mandatory pit stop under a virtual safety car either. Now, the maximum score you can have in a round of Formula 2 in the Formula Racing League is 78. And Don Argent, for him to win the championship, he would need to be at least 79 clear of everyone else by the time tonight's action is done. If he was to clinch it with a round to spare. The final round of this season will be in Singapore in 7 days' time. But Don Argent, back in red-hot form at the moment, he'll be hoping to emulate his pole position into the race victory. Ramsell will be starting 18th on the grid, though, so he's got his work cut out from there, really, on a track which is not the easiest to overtake on, quite frankly. You can see Don Argent weaving around to get some temperature into his Pirelli rubber. Big Boss Pals looking to see what he can do from there in second place. Winfield in 5th. He needs a strong result here tonight to stay in the hunt. Realistically, it will be one of the top 3 being crowned champion, whether it happens today or in Singapore next week. Don Argent, though, is focused on the feature race that is present, and he's hoping to get off the lights fine before they get down to turn 2. That is the first braking zone. There is a little kink before they brake for the Tamburello chicane. 19 drivers then on the grid. We are ready to go for round 11, the 21st race of this F2 season in the Formula Racing League. So the 5 red lights will appear in front of the drivers right now, and when they get extinguished, the feature race at Emilia will get underway. It's lights out, and away we go. Don Argent gets off the grid well, as does Big Boss Pals. But look at Stephen, who's about to get past his teammate already as they go through the kink before they get to Tamburello. So Argent in the lead at the moment. One of the Camposes is going off track. That'll be Liverpool fan, I think. But there's a car spinning around one of the Promos. It's Melios who's gone for a spin, and one of the Camposes as well. So there's incidents of plenty down at the Tamburello chicane. But Argent stays in the lead with Stephen in P2. Getting off the line very, very well ahead of Big Boss Bells. Winfield is in 4th place with Liverpool fans Swanshanks, Lucifer, Podge, Statistic King and Wild Dog getting through one of the Carlins off the racetrack there. That'll be Wild Dog, who has gone off the track. He's had quite a season with so many incidents going on involving him. But Argent getting off the line well and maintaining the lead at the front, with the 2 ARTs of Stephen and Big Boss Pals right behind him. So the drivers making their way through Acre Minerale. Argent pulling clear of the rest. Just looking to see if there's any drama going on further behind. There's Jay Hunt, I believe, going for a spin. There he is, look. Front wing damage, unfortunately. So that'll be him off into the pits, I would reckon. Got to use both dry compounds in a feature race. You can't just use just the medium or the softs. Argent coming around to complete the first lap in the lead, with Stephen in P2. And there is Big Boss Bells behind in 3rd place. There's no DRS for the first 2 laps, remember. And look at this. This is Swanshanks trying to get past Podge here. He can't quite do it through there. Oh, he's gone over the curb there. That will get him the warning for sure. And he stays behind him as Jay Hartnell enters the pits, as does Vintage for front wing replacements. And that's one of the Tridents going wide there. That's me man Moody. And Jay Hartnell's race is already over, unfortunately. Decides that the feature race is not for him anymore. So he is out of the race. And there's Argent continuing to stretch out his margin. 1.3 seconds is the gap between himself and Stephen, but he's made a poor exit coming out of R11, and that'll allow Stevens close in a little bit more. And Podge is through, and that's Winfield. That's Winfield going for a spin on the exit of R11. And he has dropped down a number of places. That's not good news in his title battle with Ramsell and Argent. And talking to which of Ramsell, as you can see, Doss going off track, avoids the wall. And that'll allow Ramsell through into 13th place. He's made up a few positions at the start, but he needs to make up a lot more than what he's getting at the moment. What he's gaining. Now Argent with a new fastest lap. And DRS is now enabled. I think Vintage has had a bit of a moment, as is Wild Dog on the exit of the Variante Alta. Podge past Liverpool fan to go up into 4th position. Just about keeping it within the track limits, I think. So Podge should be okay from there. And there's Liverpool fan in the MP Motorsport car, looking to pounce. And there's Stephen securing the knowledge that the pit window is open now. See Stephen closing in a little bit. I think Argent's line into Variante Alta wasn't particularly the best. And Meeman Moody receiving a time penalty for track limits. And there's Swanshanks in 6th place, behind the Liverpool fan. Swanshanks getting off to a good start so far. Started 16th, he's only made his way up into the top 6. It's a very good beginning to the race for him. Can he make it even better for himself and get through? Someone's gone for a spin on the exit of Variante Alta, that'll be Wild Dog. And now Winfield gets past Lucifer for 9th position. And Stephen closing in on Argent. In the battle for the lead. He's not quite within DRS range at the moment. He will be if he keeps his pace up. Stephen had a tough time at Paul Ricard last week. And Wild Dog has gone for another spin in the Carlin. And Will has just received a time penalty for track limits. And surely, I think Stephen's going to get DRS on this occasion here. He will do. DRS open now. And he's just posted a new fastest up of the race, 1:27.3 for the ART pilot. And Mielios has dropped down the order as well in the Primus, so he's had a bit of a moment somewhere. We're starting to see some pit stops at the moment. Is that Rosie coming in? I think she got front wing damage or something. Not 100% sure. Wild Dog's race is over at Acrominerale, and that could bring out the safety car. It's a virtual safety car, so not a full safety car. That'll actually help Rosie here, actually. And now we've got a full safety car, so she can use this as a mandatory pit stop. And it's good news for Vintage as well, because he was close to going down a lap on the leaders. He'll get back on the lead lap for sure. And Vintage will want to be staying out here. So what does Argent decide to do here? He decides to pit in, which is no surprise. Stephen also in. I think Big Boss Bells has backed off actually to give his teammates some space. Statistic King decides to stay out there and keep track position. So Big Boss Bell's having to wait behind there. So unfortunately, he's lost some time because of it. And with such a busy pit lane at the moment, and now one of the primers is in the way, but the car has ghosted actually as well. So in terms of what positions Big Boss Bells has lost, he's lost 2 to Podge and Swanshanks. So Statistic King leads behind the safety car with Lucifer in P2. They are the only drivers yet to pit in this race. Having said that, Vintage has yet to come in for his mandatory pit stop because he pitted at the end of lap 1, remember. So can Vintage, I don't know if he will decide to pit in at the end of this lap. No, he's going to carry on for another lap. I think that's wise actually, because he's got some time to catch up to the rest of the field. And the safety car's going to go around for another lap anyway. So Arjun's in 3rd place on the road right now. Statistic King decides to stay out there, as does Lucifer. So only 4 drivers with track limit penalties so far. They are Stephen, Mima Moody, Will and Melios. Will's also received a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, I think. 11 seconds worth of time penalty was not what he needed at this stage of the race. Now what will Vintage decide to do here? Will he pit in at the end of this lap, or will he go around one more lap and pit in then? No, he's coming in this lap. He's gone in way too quick there, I think. Yeah, way too quick. And that's a 5-second time penalty for him, unfortunately. He may decide to take that on the next lap, but he'll have to get a move on if he's going to do that. So we're on lap 7 of 18 of this feature race. The reason why we're under it is because of Wild Dog's accident at Acarinarali. It's been another race to forget for him, quite frankly. So Statistic King will want to make the best of restarts here. And Ramsell in 13th place. Now, if the race order was to finish as it is now, which it shouldn't do, because Arjun is effectively in the race lead once Statistic King and Lucifer come in for their mandatory pit stops. Arjun would collect 26 points to go with the 30 he gained earlier. Ramsell would get only, I think it's 4 points he would only get for finishing 13th in a feature race. No, it's 3 points. My apologies. So Arjun's lead in the championship would increase over Ramsell to, at the moment, to 71 points going into the sprint race later on. There's still some way to go yet in this, and with Winfield in 8th, which would see him collect 12 championship points. That would move him on to 285. Ramsell would be on 293. And Don Argent on 362. So the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. So statisticking in the dams will slow the field right down, and he'll go when he feels is best to do so. He does effectively become the safety car. And when will he decide to go here? So it's gone now, look. So Statisticking is going to have the MP Motorsport on his tail here, as Lucifer will be looking to get past on the restart here now. So we're underway, we're on lap 9 of this feature race, as Lucifer dives to the inside here into Tamburello. Look on Statisticking. Statisticking needs to be aware that he's there, and he does leave him enough space, and they both get through Tamburello without contact. And Lucifer going off track there, and he's received a penalty there for track limits. So that is Lucifer on the back foot here. Don Argent waiting patiently behind. And the game has decided to crash on me, unfortunately, which is a rather shame.